At what point do the AHL Henderson Silver Knights need to win? Our takes coming up next, right here on the Monday edition of Locked On Golden Knights.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. The start of a new week. Tony Cardasco, Chris Kollick from Las Vegas. We thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. You could find us wherever you get your podcast. And please subscribe to Locked On Golden Knights. That is our YouTube channel. Today, we're talking about minor league hockey, and it's typically utilized, Chris, to develop and to grow the game of future NHL stars. That's the primary purpose. There's a balance between getting players to the next level and winning games. But I looked at the Henderson Silver Knights attendance figures. They were down this past season by about 600 fans per game. That is substantial. And as for winning on the ice, the past couple of seasons, HSK has gone 57-74. At what time do you feel, and you're a big supporter of the Silver Knights, that AHL franchise has to win here to keep the fan base going?
I don't think winning is the answer, honestly. I got the attendance figures as well. So going back 3 years, the Silver Knights ranked 19th overall in average attendance at 42.45 per game. Last season went up to 47.21, but they dropped to 21st overall in the league. And then this most recent season down to 41.44 average attendance, 25th overall in the league. So, I mean, again, this is a pretty decent hockey city. So I didn't think Foley and co. thought it was going to be this hard to bring people into Henderson to support the Silver Knights, but they're learning it's more of a challenge. Now, let's assume this is a mid-tier playoff type of team where there's no concern about missing the playoffs. How much is that really going to move the needle? 5%, 8%? I mean, remember, we're talking AHL hockey here. We're not talking NHL hockey where you need to have a winner for the long-term interest or at least some really nice storylines. We're talking AHL hockey. It should be a borderline layup to draw 5,000, 5,500 people to Henderson to support this team. I can go on and on about my perspective about the pregame show and how amazing the experience is when you go to a Golden Knights game. And then when you go to a Silver Knights game, you got the town crier yapping for 4 minutes about protecting this fortress. And here we go to battle, light your flashlights up and all of that stuff. Like, the Golden Knights have a blueprint to in-game entertainment success at T-Mobile, and they don't even try and offer a stripped-down version of that. The team I grew up supporting, the Chicago Wolves, it didn't matter if it was one of their 3 championship seasons or if it was a middling type of season. They do extremely well with attendance. They're still averaging 8,600 a game. I could be wrong, but last season, I think they were absolutely terrible. They drew 9,000 a game. Chicago, Vegas, 2 different sports cities, of course, but it's about time the Silver Knights take a page out of some of the other AHL franchises' books and figure out why people are going to their games, but why no one wants to support the Silver Knights, because it's unfortunate because it's a fun venue. You spend a lot of time there, obviously. There's just so many things that the team does wrong when it comes to trying to get people to have interests in Silver Knights hockey.
Is it overexposure of professional hockey here in that you have the NHL team and the AHL team in the same city, in a city where the competition is fierce, not only other sporting events, but every event here in Las Vegas?
At the end of the day, to a degree, they are competing for the same dollar. There are people who, like myself, who maybe bit off a little more they can chew as far as getting 2 sets of season tickets and trying to make time to do all of that while still living a life and all the things that living encompasses. So, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of overexposure, but with the way the Golden Knights were and still are as far as attendance in T-Mobile Arena goes, and especially on the heels of a Stanley Cup victory, Should there be more than 4,100 people attending a Silver Knights game? I think so. And remember, this is average attendance throughout the year. We have season tickets. We probably go to about half the games, plus or minus. The amount of times that I've probably witnessed the average attendance in that arena, maybe a couple times for a random weekend game, maybe. There's probably 1,000 to 1,500 no-shows a night. Of course, those are all season ticket holders like myself, absolutely taking a bath in the tickets. I mean, I don't think anyone bought Silver Knight tickets hoping to possibly make money off them like people are fortunate enough to do with the Vegas Golden Knights at times. But it would be nice, at least when season ticket holders are selling their tickets, not to absolutely lose their behinds and stuff like that. So long story longer, there's a lot of nights there's 1,500, 1,800 people in that stadium, maybe 2,200. There is nowhere near on a nightly basis, and anyone who's ever been to a Silver Knights game can back this up. There is a 0.0% chance there is an average of 4,100 souls in that building. That includes the players, Lucky, the Zamboni driver, and everyone working there.
Playoff history here. 2021, they lost to Bakersfield. Yeah, exactly. They've yet to win a playoff game, Silver Knights. So they lost to Bakersfield. That was just
they had fake playoffs. So
they had
first year they did fake
playoffs
where they were the only division in the AHL to have a postseason
due to the pandemic. Right.
Yeah, during the pandemic, it was goofy, but they actually had games at T-Mobile and drew really well for a couple of them.
Yeah, and that's another point that we want to make too. Why no double headers with the parent team? And then they lost a series, Colorado, 2-0, and no playoffs the last couple of years. There is star power in Henderson. Why aren't the fans excited about the product and the players themselves?
Again, AHL. The AHL, not just for Henderson, but for the league, is a revolving door. Sure, there's going to be some longtime staples on the team who don't have NHL contracts, but they're signed by the AHL affiliate. These are the players that have next to no chance to advancing into the National Hockey League. Gage Quinney would be an example. Gage Quinney, I think, still has an NHL contract, but I don't know how much longer that's going to be for. Adam Cracknell, a player like that who there's a lot of interest behind, but the likelihood of, especially Adam Cracknell, obviously making a run to the NHL is null and void at this point of his career. So it shifts to the on-ice product and the entertainment factor. Listen, Vegas is a new hockey community. All right, that hasn't changed. Vegas is only 7 years and change old right now as far as professional. Like, I'm talking NHL, not the Wranglers. I'm talking professional level A1 hockey. It's a young hockey city, so you're not going to get the support like the Toronto Marlies might get, who they got a lot more history, or AHL hockey, Montreal, whatever. Any other city that has a storied hockey history is going to have a leg up on the Golden Knights, or on the Golden Knights and the Silver Knights. Now, shifting gears, city of entertainment, right? City of entertainment. This is, you go to a Golden Knights game, you expect to be not just entertained by the on-ice product, by the players and their results and everything, but you're entertained from, the half hour leading up to the game. You're entertained from the pregame show and the on-ice activations and everything else. And I think the Silver Knights do things okay maybe once the game starts. I still think there's a big area of opportunity missed from the pregame show. Put a helmet out there. Okay, fine. Dollar Loan Center is too small to have a helmet hanging from the ceiling. Do something digital. The Las Vegas, the Thrill, they have that really cool thing where the players come out. It's like a smoke machine, but you can see the logo behind it. Hang something big like that.
Fog wall. Yeah.
Fog wall. Okay, hang something cool, like whatever it is, and just, I keep going back to the pregame show. I don't know why I keep going. I have an obsession with the lack of pregame show. And I know your thoughts on the Town Crier as well. But there's just so much that the team could be doing better when it comes to entertaining and kids wanting to go back. The adults, Silver and Golden Knights, people are going to go. They're going to bring the kids with them. The kids are going to drag them back, obviously. But I don't know if it's the same experience in Henderson with kids dragging their parents. I want to go to a Silver Knights game. No, not really. It's cool. It's me and Chris are hockey fans, so we have no problem going. We're happy to go, but we go probably knowing it's not going to be that entertaining of a night. Call it what it is, and don't get me started on how loud the music is when the game starts.
But okay, here's my point. They're not winning though on the ice, and this is a
Nope.
city that is built on winners. And I think the
Yeah.
attendance figures would go up if they are winning. Now, it's a unique situation for VGK and its AHL team because of the close proximity between the two clubs here. They're based in the same city. If the AHL franchise were somewhere else, I think that they would prosper. They do much better. But again, you wouldn't have all these call ups like you have here. Now, I went back and tried to look at the number of call ups, and it only went starting in November for some odd reason. And there were something like 53 call ups for the season, which could be rather high. And then early in the VGK season, Chris, they already rated the HSK, did the parent team, Caden Korzak, early up with the team with Martinez. Martinez was out, right? White Cloud, I think, was out too. And then Jonas Ronbjorg, he was up early. Remember Brett Howden, the suspension, conking Brendan Tanev on the head. And so to me, they have more call ups, I think, than most. And I don't have anything substantiated, but I believe that they have more call ups than a lot of the NHL teams. Okay, if you are Seattle, for instance, it is so freaking hard to pull someone up from Palm Springs, Palm Desert, down there at Coachella, to bring them up to Seattle. I mean, you have a single prop plane to get you to LAX to take you up there. Could be a 2-day process. But here in Vegas, they have the luxury of just pulling someone from Henderson to the Vegas Strip.
Chicago and Carolina, the Chicago Wolves and the Carolina Panthers just reunited their very odd relationship for another season. So that's
The
even tough
Hurricanes,
for
you
them.
mean? The Panthers are in Florida. I call them the
Carolina
Carolina
Hurricanes.
Panthers.
Sorry, it's
It's all
coffee
right.
hasn't
I know
set
it's
in yet.
early. It's early. I got you.
Yeah, Carolina Hurricanes, Chicago Wolves have reunited their marriage, and it's a complicated one. We can save that for another time. But that's even more difficult, obviously. And listen, you look at the Golden Knights last 3 seasons, 500, 500, 500, plus or minus man games lost. Where do you get the players from? You get them from the AHL. Where does the AHL replenish their players? The ECHL. So at times the Golden Knights had an AHL lineup out there. At times the Silver Knights had an ECHL lineup out there. Now, the one season where the Golden Knights did not make the playoffs, of course, that's season number 5. That season, that's when the Silver Knights actually they made the playoffs technically the year after the 21-22. So same season, they lost in what they call the qualifying round. The Pacific Division, like 7 of the 8 team or of the 10 teams make the playoffs. It's really bizarre, but point being is they were technically in the qualifying round of the playoffs. And then the 2020-21 seasons when they lost in that weird fake playoff thing. But that's also when you saw the Golden Knights not doing as well. Usually if one side's not doing as well, the other might be doing better and vice versa. So I don't know. Winning, I think, Tony, will help, but I think you're talking maybe a 5 or 10% boost. I don't even think a long playoff run outside of a trip to the Calder Cup final would sell out the Henderson Silver Knights on a regular basis.
Now, did you ask, was it Ryan Craig or was it Manny Moe and Jack? Manny, did you ask one of those two about whether or not they felt that winning was important? I know that you asked one of those coaches that question. No, was that you?
Oh, you got me thinking. I asked something a while back, and I can't
Yeah, I think it
specifically
was.
remember what it was, but we
It might
did
have
have
been
a
Manny Moe and
conversation
Jack.
to a degree. I don't remember the specifics. There was a conversation, but I don't remember the specifics. I got to dig that up though.
Okay, that was Manny Viveros. Just kidding. Coming up next, a lack of end of season awards for VGK. That trend continues as we continue here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same day approval and avoid unnecessary medical. That's right. You could talk to a team of award winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Easily compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. And you know what? You might not be as well covered as you think. This is something that is so important because your work life insurance policy, take a look at that. It might not offer enough protection for your family and all of their needs. Even worse, it might not come with you if you leave that particular job. And it is so trustworthy They give you an unbiased view, unbiased advice from licensed experts and a support team. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can trust their guidance. Thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fit for their needs. Check life insurance off of your to-do list in no time at all with Policy Genius. Simply head to policygenius.com/LockedOnNHL. Again, policygenius.com/LockedOnNHL. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We appreciate you doing so. On Fridays, it's WTF. On Saturdays, sometimes it's the Chris and Chris Jr. show.
Off-season scheduling.
TBA.
Scheduling.
What is
It's
the
funny,
off-season schedule?
We're talking AHL, and I was on Instagram for a second while you were doing the read, and a buddy of mine, one of my supporters on my shows, he posted a picture of the Moose from the Rochester Americans on his Instagram wall. So I commented really fast, just the irony of stumbling upon that while we're talking about AHL hockey.
That's pretty funny. So when is your show? Is it going to happen this Saturday?
Well, no, we're going to go every other Saturday. We're going to go every
Okay.
other Saturday right now, unless something weird happens. The goal is every other Saturday for me and Chris.
Alrighty. Why are there no VGK regular season awards individual winners? The NHL awards, as we know, they announced last week, will be returning to Las Vegas at the Fontainebleau Hotel on June the 27th, but there will be no individual honors for VGK. William Karlsson, by the way, received 9 votes for the Selke. Alexander Barkov won. The last regular season awards that VGK won were in 2021. Marc-Andre Fleury, you recall, that's the year that he won the Vezina, and Robin Leonard and him, they combined on winning the Williams-Jennings Trophy for the fewest goals given up that year. So why no individual honors for VGK? Mitch Marner would be in a lot of discussions if he were here. 100 points per season.
That show got like over 1,000 people. That people are still grilling us for even mentioning Mitch Marner's name in this town.
They're grilling you.
That's fair. I mean, whatever.
I usually say stuff and then they grill you. You say something, they grill me.
Yeah, no, it's been a great off
We're like
season.
we are like Carlson and Marchessault, the conjoined twins on this show.
Which one's Carlson or which one's Marchessault? Because that one's probably about to leave. So why no awards? I mean, I guess number one, first of all, no one can play long enough in a season without staying healthy. But all kidding aside from there, the Golden Knights are a team built on 60 and 70 point scores and multiple, and also a lot of 40, 45 point contributors on a regular basis. So it's one thing where the team doesn't necessarily have the standout talent. Now, like Jack Eichel or someone like that definitely would have an opportunity to win something like the Selke, where for being a very good two-way player, but you still need to be around that point per game pace and play an entire regular season for that to happen. And obviously that hasn't happened for the last couple seasons for Jack, so it's going to make it a little more difficult. You're never going to see someone flirting with McDavid or Austin Matthews type of scoring numbers unless Mitch Marner comes. I don't think Mitch Marner even flirts with that if he comes. But so you're not going to see that type of top-end talent. Lady Byng is always an interesting trophy because that's for sportsmanship and such. And that obviously is one of the awards that the Golden Knights' William Karlsson has won. Derek England won the Mark Messier Leadership Award in 2017-2018. You mentioned the goalies. So really nothing since, Jonathan Marchessault, of course, in the Conn Smythe. So given the Golden Knights' history of success, I feel like maybe there should be more awards consideration for some of the VGK players. It's important to them. It's not important to win an NHL award for a player because of the individual effort, but it's about having your name forever tied to a historic trophy like the Stanley Cup to a degree. You win one of these awards, it's yours forever. That year, no one can take it away from you. I did ask Shea Theodore about his prospects of potentially winning a Norris, and Shea Theodore is the best player obviously the best defenseman on the Golden Knights that would have a shot. He can flirt with, and did for most of the season, flirt with a point per game pace, but obviously a lot of injuries and stuff slowed that down, especially for the last month or so of the season. But it takes these guys back when you mention to them, hey, what if you were considered for something like this? How would it make you feel? And it's important to the historic side of the game. Do they care as far as being recognized for an individual talent? Not really, but to have their name forever etched in that history, yeah, that's a big deal to these players.
You mentioned 2017-18. That was the big year. George McPhee was the top general manager when he was GM. Gerard Gallant, the Jack Adams Award winner, and Carlson won the Lady Byng. Derek England won the Mark Messier Award, as you just mentioned. Were there many candidates this season? The only one that I could go back and trace was Alex Pietrangelo was the 2024 Bill Masterton Award nominee, a season removed from the tomahawk chop on Leon Draisaitl. This is an award, folks, that exemplifies sportsmanship.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't my first vote for Vegas, but that's what the committee went with, and I think my overall winner did win, Connor Ingram. He had a very nice storyline. I forgot specifically, I don't remember exactly. So, yeah, I mean, listen, like I said earlier, not a lot of just the way the Golden Knights are constructed, Tony. You don't have that top end talent, those people that are going to the type of players you're going to see on Sports Center every night. Not that they show a lot of hockey outside of the playoffs, but the type of players that are cracking the top 10 on a regular basis, or the type of players that Sportsnet are constantly talking about, or Hockey Night in Canada. And that's another thing. You do have the media bias here, right? The Golden Knights are a new hockey city. A lot of situations when someone is going to get considered for an award, they're going to lose a lot of tiebreakers simply because it's not an original six city. It's a new hockey city. So if player A is up with player B from the Golden Knights and player A plays in a major market, fair foul or otherwise, that's going to be a tiebreaker, I think, in a lot of these categories as far as the media who does get consideration in some of these votes.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong here. Petrangelo's done a lot of good things in the community. And
of course, no doubt.
He's had that story too, and the painful one with his daughter and the illness and everything else. So that was an insert joke sort of a moment for me. But again, do they need to have award winners to be visible within the National Hockey League, or is this more of a team effort? It's become more of a team, I guess, and injuries have slowed down the likes of Jack Eichel, who we both feel could potentially be a 90-point plus player.
What does your shirt say? See, I was Dasco. What's the rest of it?
Before Dasco was cool. Yeah.
And you make these shirts. That's the funnier thing. Oh, someone send it to you. Fine, whatever. Sure they do. You hit the nail on the head. More of a team effort. It's just, is it necessary? I mean, why? The Golden Knights, as far as attendance, it's all working, right? 103, 105%, whatever that number is since the inception, outside, of course, of the COVID seasons with the bubble and the covered seats. And God, don't take me back to those days, please. So everything is going well there. Now, I do wonder, kind of shifting gears a little bit off the topic, is if at some point the Golden Knights do try and change things up. We had our show recently about is Cassidy's system outdated. Golden Knights have never had, a 90, 100 point plus player. Is this now when the Golden Knights try and maybe shake things up a little bit because things maybe aren't working as well? Now people are going to argue about injuries and everything else, and that's why things didn't work out last season. I personally think that's BS. I think they just lost to a better team and were out-coached, but that's my perspective right there. But everyone wants to say it's chemistry. So you do wonder if there's going to be major overhauls, and this will be something for the napkin. Obviously, me and Tony will talk about soon. But if there will be a change in personnel where they might look for one player to carry a little more of the load, which obviously would open up a lot of opportunities for younger players from Henderson who would need to step up for that plan to work.
And if Jack Eichel would only shoot every time he has the possession of the puck, I think he could be that 80, 90-point scorer. Coming up next,
he can be 25, 65 as far as goals and assists and get there easily.
We'll have our playoff update coming your way next right here on Locked On Golden Knights. We want to talk to you today about eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. That's eBay Motors, which has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle. and you can level it up to peak performance, from superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and much, much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You can definitely find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride each and every time, or you get your money back. That's right. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We appreciate everyone, especially our everydayers. Please make sure on Fridays to chime in on WTF. We got some real spicy comments a week ago. And also don't forget on Saturdays, the sometimes YouTube exclusive happens once in a while. It's the Chris and Chris Jr. Show, which will be back this Saturday morning. And it definitely beats watching cartoons. NHL playoff update.
Depends on the cartoon.
Game 7 tonight in Vancouver. Canucks and Oilers. Now, the real strange, this was a great statistic here. Whoever did the game the other night, I think for once it was ESPN that got things right. If Vancouver wins, it would mark the first time ever in the NHL that all 4 regular season divisional winners are in the conference finals.
First time
Pretty
ever?
interesting. First time ever, they said.
Wow, yeah. I know that. Okay, cool.
So Brock Boeser,
Chalky.
Brock Boeser's out tonight for Vancouver. That's a big hit. Has some blood clotting issues, and this should be a fun game to watch. I am exhausted from Game 7s. My Knickerbockers lost. Minnesota, NBA, great. Oh, my goodness. What a great game that was. Fantastic finishes, all that. Game 7, man. Too much drama. And my Rangers had better not go 7. They need to sweep the Florida Panthers.
Brock Besser, Tony. Brock Besser being out.
What did I say, Boeser?
Did I say Boeser? Yeah, I used to say that for a long time, too. And then,
no, I know it's Besser.
Yeah. Brock Besser, that's a big deal. That's a really big. I couldn't say Shelovs for the longest time, so don't.
I thought I was being Canadian, like Boeser.
Like process Hoser. Yeah, okay, all right.
Hoser.
All right, so Vancouver Canucks plus 140. And Tony, didn't you? I feel like you had a Game 7 stat for. There's a big home team bias. I feel like
that was NBA. That was NBA.
Dang it! I was close. All right. Well, we're off to a great start.
Game 7 home court teams lost though yesterday.
All right. Well, all right. So that bucks that trend. It doesn't matter, I guess. So Vancouver plus 140 at home. I mean, that's a lot of respect for a team in the Edmonton Oilers. Yes, they looked really good. They had a big game, but whether it's a 2-1 or 5-1, I honestly don't think the result matters and should impact the betting line for Game 7. But obviously, the American public has loaded up on Edmonton. Now, the interesting thing about this, looking at the public split on covers, Vancouver 47%, Edmonton 53%. So this tells me that the sportsbook just has more of an opinion on this, on the outcome of the game, versus maybe what the betting trend is leading us on to. Because if minus 160 on one side, you would think that people are loading up on Edmonton. That you would think people are firing on Edmonton. And there's other numbers you can look at that'll give you maybe a little bit more accurate perspectives. But maybe you got a lot of sharp money coming in on Edmonton, where there's just a large percentage of $2 and $5 bets coming in on Vancouver. That's tilting the scales. So I'm going to dig a little more into this line, but you give me plus 140 home team Game 7. That's the right bet. Whether you win or cash that ticket or not, I don't know, but I'll go down swinging a plus 140 in a Game 7 with the home team all day long. I don't care about one player being out. I don't.
As far as fans in the stands, it's been equally divided. Or even in Edmonton, though, we pointed out all those Vancouver fans were there. By the way, you are a horse racing fan, and in the off season, Nikola Jokic, he's in the sulky riding a harness. he's a harness racer. Like he's done like he works them out.
Wait, I don't think the Joker basketball player. Are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
Yes, the
So
Joker
you're telling me like
in the
a
sulky.
7-foot basketball player is getting in a harness and running?
Yes, but these guys are athletes. Harness drivers are athletes. Keep that in mind.
No, I get that, but that's
They're
still
not
interesting.
athletes. They're not athletes. At the Meadowlands one time, they did this story on the amount of food that the harness racing drivers eat compared to, of course, the thoroughbred flat.
Yeah, thoroughbred. I've heard some stories about those fellas. It's unfortunate, and that's unfortunate. That's how it has to be, but that's how it is.
Robin Leonard in the sulky.
Oh, I knew you had a tie-in. I knew
I
you were
did
setting
not.
me
I
up for
just went there.
something.
Sorry, I had to, man.
Yeah. I mean, I got nothing. I got
Okay.
nothing.
Of course,
got
Dallas
nothing.
awaits the winner of tonight's
There we go.
game.
Okay, we can talk hockey
And
now.
then the Rangers in Florida, that will get underway on Wednesday night at 5 p.m. We
Wednesday.
appreciate.
Why would they start that tomorrow nights and then let the Western Conference start on Wednesday?
It's all good. Spread it out. The agony, just spread it out for me. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you so much. Of course, Fridays, WTF, Saturdays. This week, they'll be back. The triumphant return of the Chris and Chris Jr. Show, the YouTube exclusive. We appreciate the everydayers that tune in each and every day. Thank you so much. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. And please take care.